being the example. I'm going to go to the old neighborhood where I used to hang out at and show these guys hand to hand. Listen, I'm still the same person, but I'm different. I'm not with the illegal stuff anymore, but that doesn't mean that we're not the same. We're the same because I'm going to show you, hey, look, this is what I fell in love with. We all were entrepreneurs. We just didn't know that. So when they see me, they're like, oh, I can't run a business. Yes, you can. You do this. You run this whole neighborhood, right? Yeah, I do. I never thought about it like that. Okay, go get your LLC. Then years later, I see the guy, he got a store. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And then they come and say, hey, Jaris, they call me Cap. Listen, Cap, you taught me that. And I just be like, wow, this goes on and on. So I do it in person. That's my best way of doing it.
Welcome to the Kindness Factor podcast, sharing life-changing personal stories of the transformational impact of deep kindness. Hosted by
Dr. Elia, the happiness doctor,
and Randy McNeely, the kindness giver. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to another episode of the Kindness Factor podcast. I'm Randy McNeely, your co-host, known as the kindness giver. Also joined by my wonderful partner, my co-host, my partner in kindness, Dr. Elia Gourgouris. Elia, you just came back from Europe, so you're now back in the States, right?
I am back in the States. Our first podcast after 2 months of being across the pond, and I'm happy to be home.
It's good to have you back in the States, and we are just thrilled today to be joined by an amazing man, our wonderful friend from out in Virginia, good man named Jaris Tucker. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jaris. He's Jaris Tucker Sr. He's a father. He's an entrepreneur. He's a business marketing consultant, and he's a founder of Real One-on-One Consulting LLC. And he's got this wonderful mantra or wonderful thought called thinkers at work. He's always thinking, always on top of things, always inspiring and sharing great things with people. He's the author of Nature Flow. He's also recognized as a LinkedIn top voice. He set out on his journey as to be a thought leader, and he's also one of the best public speakers in the world. We're so grateful to have Jaris with us. Jaris, thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you all for having me. Thank you for that warm introduction. And it's truly an honor.
Well, we're just thrilled to have you here. And, it being the fact that this is the Kindness Factor podcast, we generally start out and we put our guests, okay, maybe you could say we put them on the spot a little bit, but the first question we ask, can you think of a situation when someone stepped up and was a kindness hero for you? Somebody did something kind that touched your heart, that inspired your life, and that caused you to want to go out and be kind to other people, to pay it forward. Do you have any experiences like that you'd like to share?
Yeah, actually, I have several experiences like that in my life. I have been truly blessed as I think about my journey and the things that I've been through. I've met all kind of wonderful, nice people. And for me, it would always be in the workplace when I would start working. It would always be somebody that was older than me or maybe a supervisor that could see my nervousness. They could see how timid and shy I was. And they would always just pull me to the side and say, hey, listen, this is what you have to do. I'm going to be the person. You be my stick person. And we're going to show you. And every job I've ever had in my life till this day, I found somebody, whether it was a man or a woman, that would just be like a guardian angel. And they would groom me and coach me to being the leader of every job I've had. I've always been the person that would come in, work myself up from the top. And I don't have one specific person that I could think of in mind, but it's just been so many people that I would be doing myself a disservice if I just named one person, because that is the story of my life, just meeting good people.
I love that you have so many mentors and coaches and people that took time to assist you and to help you grow to become your best self and a wonderful leader. What has been the impact on that in your life? like on being on the receiving end from so many good men and women who have helped you along the path and along the journey. How has that impacted you?
It impacted me to force me to, even in times of my areas where, I wasn't working. I grew up in the streets. So we come from a poor family. I come from the project. So I hung around a lot of people who weren't necessarily doing the better thing at that time. But me being around that, and if I had to give it to my mother, I can say she was the first person to instill in me um, character traits and core values. So we gonna name a person, I will give her that trophy. It started with her. But to answer your question, the impact, I wouldn't cross certain lines because I knew that there was some kind of goodness out there. I knew that there were good people. So where some people would go over the top coming up in the streets, I would always be the person to say, I might be hungry and desperate, but I don't have to be that desperate because I know better.
Isn't it interesting how, Elia, how many people we've interviewed, and when they talk about kindness heroes, and some of them have been like you, Jaris, where they've said, well, I've got too many to name, but one way or another, it always comes back to mom. It
Yeah.
almost always comes back to mom. I shared in an interview I gave about the fact that my dear mother was one of the greatest influences on my life. She was my best friend. I can think of Brian Coleman talking about his mom, and think, golly, we could start naming 10 or 15 different people. Isn't it amazing how our mothers are good that way? And Elia, of course, your dear mother, was a fantastic influence in your life. Jairus, like, what you said your mother, you said these other people. How has that caused you to want to be kind to other people? You grew up in the streets. You said you grew up in the streets. What difference did that make as far as the choices you made when you obviously have been through a lot of different challenges. We've talked about this before. You've been through a bunch of different challenges, and yet because of the way you were raised, you chose to do things differently. How did the kindness you received influence those decisions, impact you, influence you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would notice, now that I'm studying it now, a lot of that stuff would just sit in my subconscious brain. So it helps me to deal with people the same way. I'm going to give somebody a second chance. I'm going to show
Mm.
grace. I'm going to show kindness because it has always been shown to me, even at the bottom, the worst time in my life. The times I did go to jail for small things. That's worse to somebody that wasn't raised to be that way. So I'm terrified. Even in jail, somebody's like, "Hey, man, don't do this. Don't do that." Even though it's a simple trespassing charge, you get out in the morning. But hey, if you go in the shower, make sure you fold the shower curtain over. It has always been that way. So for me, I've always been the person to do the same thing. Now it hit a point to where I was going overboard with kindness. I was being a pushover. I was being a little naive. So it impacted me that way because I thought I always had to give, give, give because I was always giving. And then over bumping my head, times I've learned that you got to have balance. So it always stuck with me. And it doesn't matter who I decide to deal with or who I'm interacting with. If I see the opportunity to do the right thing, it is so embedded in my subconscious and my soul that is a natural thing for me to do.
I love, there's two things that I love about what you said, Jairus. One of them is about second chances. And don't we all deserve second chances? I mean, I think God gives us not second, 100 chances, 1,000 chances in a lifetime. And grace, that there by the grace of God go I, right? We could all be in a different place in our lives right now, but we're not. We're in a good place because of the choices that we have made. So you're an example to your community. How have you passed it forward? And like active, like specifically, what do you do, or how do you share your kindness? And you have a big heart. I can see that already. You have such a big heart. How are you sharing those gifts and talents with your fellow human beings?
That's a wonderful question, and I ask myself that question very often. I do it by leading by example because I know that I know a lot of people in my community. like you say. People have been watching me like we watch everybody else. Um, so what I do is every example or situation, I'm gonna be that. I'm gonna learn something. Somebody's gonna learn. My saying is we're gonna get this work. Whether I gotta learn the lesson, you learn, we're gonna see what is the best option because I'm gonna do it by being the example. I'm going to go to the old neighborhood where I used to hang out at and show these guys hand to hand. Listen, I'm still the same person, but I'm different. I'm not with the illegal stuff anymore, but that doesn't mean that we're not the same. We're the same because I'm going to show you, hey, look, this is what I fell in love with. We all were entrepreneurs. We just didn't know that. So when they see me, they're like, oh, I can't run a business. Yes, you can. You do this. You run this whole neighborhood, right? Yeah, I do. I never thought about it like that. Okay, go get your LLC. Then years later, I see the guy, he got a store. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And then they come and say, hey, Jaris, they call me Cap. Listen, Cap, you taught me that. And I just be like, wow, this goes on and on. So I do it in person. That's my best way of doing it, face to face. Also, I've learned Facebook and LinkedIn, social media platforms. People are paying attention. So when they see me upload a video talking about kindness or positivity, they're watching and they're learning, and then it just keeps moving forward that way.
That's beautiful. I mean, that's the great thing about kindness, right? It's the gift that keeps on giving. And we say that with kindness, everybody wins, but it's not even a win-win. It's a win-win-win-win. It's four wins. You win, I win, we win collectively, the two of us, and then everybody who's observing us doing good things, they also win because they get inspired to emulate the things that that we're doing. So it's beautiful to see, man. Congratulations, actually, in living your life with the values that your mom taught you, living your life with integrity, and being such a good example. I mean, that's just because in the end, listen, we're all going to die. In the end, we're going to look back and say, what is my legacy? It's not about money. It's not about fame. It's not about possessions. It's not about anything. How did I impact the world? And you're doing it. And I love that you're doing it face to face. Like you're not like, I love that you're like physically there, like coaching people and helping them see a different way, perhaps, and see the light.
Yeah, because some people can talk about it, but I've always learned that it's the action that's most important.
Well, and when you're there and you can actually have that in the moment impact, you're there, you're with them, there's something to be said. Elia and I just had the amazing opportunity to go to Palermo, Italy, and speak at the 11th General Assembly of the World Kindness Movement. And we've had all these people that we've been interacting with via LinkedIn and Zoom and stuff
For
like that
years.
for 3, 4, 5 years. But then we actually got to meet everybody in person, and there's nothing like that experience of being in the room with the people, letting them, it's one thing. It's great. I am so thankful for this technology. You and I have never met in person yet, Jaris. We will. The time is going to happen, but there's something to be said about actually being with people in person, and it just has an amazing impact on you.
When a wallet was returned just moments after it was lost, a purpose was found. This one act of kindness inspired the formation of the nonprofit Kindness Worldwide to create a culture of kindness in communities throughout the world. Kindness Week Worldwide mobilized the entire community in York, Pennsylvania, featuring initiatives and playbook programs including blood drives, kindness cards, K-12 and college students embracing kindness, and an innovative means of community policing, kindness citations. If something so magical can happen in York, Pennsylvania, the same and other inspirations can happen anywhere and everywhere. Our Screen Scenes initiative featuring the Kindness Factor will showcase these many stories of kindness. Let's include your community among them. Kindness is the heartbeat of the world. Together, with your support, we can make all its hearts beat as one.
Because I think people just, get impacted by your soul, by your presence, by your energy, by your vibe, when we're together. It's a physical thing and the bond, I think the people like Randy said, the people that we connected with in Palermo, Sicily, the bond is forever now. I mean, so the fact that you decide, And I know it takes more time. I mean, I think it's easier not to do it face to face, but you go to the neighborhood and you spend time there physically. Um, that is an act of kindness by itself. You didn't have to do that, but you do it anyways.
Well, think about what's happening. You told us right at the beginning. You said you had all these different people that have been kind to you in your various jobs, right? And so then you're taking that kindness that they've given to you because you've gotten great experience and it's helped you to rise up and become a leader. You've got your own business and stuff now. And what are you doing? You're turning around, you're going and giving back. You're paying it forward, you're paying it back. You're going to those neighborhoods and helping those kids or young people. I don't know if they're necessarily kids, but younger people, helping them recognize that, hey, there are options for me. There are ways up and out of the projects. There are ways to go forward. And, like you said, you're setting an example, you're leading by example. What a fantastic thing.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps going, you got to put it in, like, it's like being in my shoes. It's like, as you say, as I'm doing it, I'm paying attention. I'm blessed to have self-awareness to understand I'm helping to make the change. I'm a small piece in a collective puzzle of true oneness to be able to do it. So me consciously being aware that I'm not just going doing this, I'm not just on these podcasts talking. I know we are doing the work of the Most High, or whatever you believe in. I can see it. So now that I understand it, I take a little bit more time to get serious with it. I take a little bit more time to make sure that my energy's clear, my mind is clear, and that my intent is what it's supposed to be, because this is powerful.
Well, that's what is so beautiful about this. You said we. It's not just a Randy thing. It's not just an Elia thing. It's not just a Jaris thing. It's a we thing. It's what's in it for we. Instead of too many people, a lot of people look at what's in it for me. We come at it, what's in it for we? How can we make this world a better place? I love it. Elia, I could tell you had something you wanted to say.
Well, I think we all have a sphere of influence, however small or not small, maybe, or whatever, and how we use that sphere of influence. That's a great responsibility that we all have. If you can impact one person to change their lives and to go from a life that probably would not have a happy ending to owning a store because you were the example and you taught somebody to do that, and to be an entrepreneur, and to one life is enough to have a successful life. Imagine if you do that for dozens of people, hundreds of people over a lifetime, how beautiful that is. And I'm with you, Jared. I take that responsibility very seriously because I know people listen to when I share things, and I always want to be there with love, with kindness, with support, with positivity. Lead by example, share whatever wisdom I've gathered over my 60 years of being on this earth, and help uplift, because life is not easy. We're all facing adversities left and right on a daily basis, and we need one another. And that's why I like what Randy said about the we and what you talked about the we. So, thank you for doing that.
Well, the fact that, we've all opened up here and we're in one big heart space, the kindness heart space, the caring heart space. And you see that, you can see Jairus's face, that smile that lights it up. I can imagine, when you go back to those neighborhoods and people see you and see your smiling countenance and feel of the goodness that you bring with you. I can't imagine that they can't help but think, I can do better. I can be better. I can become better. And you look at what Jairus has done or what he's doing. That's a great thing. That's a great thing. We're getting to the point where we need to hear Jaris
Your three pearls
Tucker.
of wisdom, it's
We
coming.
need to hear the three pearls of Jaris wisdom that
Let's
you
drop them. Let's go. Yeah.
our audience, that the three things that little nuggets you want to share that you will maybe lift the people's day, lift our audience's day.
But also three things that you do yourself on on a consistent basis too, because like you said, it's in the act. It's not just talking about it; it's showing by example. So let's go.
So I have a routine. I won't get into too much detail because it's real sacred. But in the morning and before I go to bed, I pump whatever I felt like I've been missing for that day. So for me, it's self-love because I've given out so much love to other people that my self-love had depleted some. So I just pump self-love and tell myself, hey, look, this is what I love about you, X, Y, Z.
Wow.
Then I do
That's a great
gratitude.
idea.
I'm getting chills as I think about it. I
No,
pump
that's a great
gratitude.
idea.
Thank you. I do gratitude. I'm real heavy on gratitude. Just the simple things, just the blue sky, to be safe, to be alive, simple things. And then from there, everything goes to me. 100% self accountability for everything. I don't blame anybody for nothing. Everything that happens to me that I'm going through or went through, I look at myself every night, every morning. Hey, look, this is on you. So if you don't like this, then pick one thing you do. And I might do some affirmations. I might do them 30 days at a time, 10 days, 5 days, whatever, however long it takes for me to do. Now, the affirmations are tailor made. I just don't write stuff. I write in what do I really want to focus in on. And as I do that, I wait till the change happens and then I just keep it on repeat.
What a formula. Really.
Self-love, gratitude, accountability, and taking responsibility. And it's a beautiful thing. You're taking responsibility for yourself and for your life, and you're designing your life and the kind of life that you want to have. And what a great thing. And with that design, you're able to inspire others.
I
The one
like to say design, you're saying design. I like to say co-creating with the most high.
even
I
better.
got it.
Even better.
Even better. Yes. Amen.
Jared, what an example to our listeners to say it's okay to practice self-love on a daily
Love
basis.
that. Yes.
And how specifically you said, this is what I love about you. Most people don't do that, as you know. Most people in this world wouldn't even know how to even say that to themselves because they struggle because their inner critic is so powerful and beats themselves up. So you showing that example, I'm going to start implementing that in my own life too. And I love myself, but I've never done it the way that you like. I think it's worth I'm going to give it a try, put it back a part of my routine. I do the gratitude and the accountability, but I don't know if I do the first part like you do. So thank you for sharing that. That's something for me to consider and to ponder and maybe to add to the mix of what I do on a daily basis. Wow, that's it. That's great. Thank
Well,
you.
I really appreciate you sharing those things, Jaris. And so here's the question for you. How does our audience get in touch with you if they want to want to find out more about Jaris Tucker or connect with Jaris Tucker? And you've got LinkedIn, you've got Facebook. What's that? What else? How else can they connect?
I don't like to break this thing down so simply as to just follow the best hashtag that's online. That is the hashtag Thinkers at Work. Under that hashtag, if you're on social media, whatever platform you use, you're going to be able to follow that hashtag and you're going to see me on your favorite platform. And then we can connect that way.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. What a wonderful visit.
Thank you all for having me. The honor and pleasure remains with me.
Namaste.
It's mutual, my
Namaste.
friend. It's
Namaste.
mutual. It's totally mutual. Thank you.
Well, and we want to say thank you to our audience for taking the time to tune in to today's episode. We're so grateful for the time that you take to be with us. You could be doing anything, but you've taken a few minutes to spend some time, listen to this wonderful good man, Jaris, and then a few of the things that Dr. Elia and I have had to say. And just as a closer, I invite you to take the time to stop and think, what did I learn today? How is it applicable to me? And what am I going to do about it? How am I going to apply it and pay it forward? And as you go throughout your week, remember that with kindness,
Everybody wins.
everybody wins. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Have a
Thank
great
you.
week.
You too.